Shabbos, Shabbos soll sein, Shabbos soll sein. Soll sein jeden Shabbos, Shabbos soll sein, Shabbos soll sein. Shabbos auf dem ganzen Welt, Shabbos auf dem ganzen Stadt, Shabbos auf dem ganzen Welt, Shalom. Shabbos auf dem ganzen Welt, Shabbos auf dem ganzen Stadt, Shabbos auf dem ganzen Welt, Shalom. Yay, 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 yay. Soll sein jeden Shabbos, Shabbos soll sein, Shabbos soll sein. Shabbos auf dem ganzen Welt, Shabbos auf dem ganzen Stadt, Shabbos auf dem ganzen Welt, Shalom. Shabbos auf dem ganzen Welt, Shabbos auf dem ganzen Stadt, Shabbos auf dem ganzen Welt, Shalom. Shabbos auf dem ganzen Welt, Shabbos auf dem ganzen Stadt, Shabbos auf dem ganzen Welt, Shalom. Shabbos auf dem ganzen Welt, Shabbos auf dem ganzen Stadt, Shabbos auf dem ganzen Welt, Shalom. Shabbos auf dem ganzen Welt, Shabbos auf dem ganzen Stadt, Shabbos auf dem ganzen Welt, Shalom. Shabbos auf dem ganzen Welt, Shabbos auf dem ganzen Stadt, Shabbos auf dem ganzen Welt, Shalom. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos. The winds are changing, the air is cooling. We're in a different season. We just walked into a different season. This is the Shabbos of the veil. We are introduced to the veil this Shabbos, to hiding behind the veil, to lifting the veil. And all week long, we are wearing a veil of productivity, a veil of the rat race, a veil of needing and wanting and fixing and improving and desiring. And on Shabbos, we let that veil lift. We let it disappear and dissolve. And we let something deeper underneath arrive, come through. And this is an intimacy that we find in this poem of Yedid Nefesh, an intimacy between God and humans. But it's really the intimacy between all beings, between person and nature. It's really the settling in of our breaths. So let's take a deep one. Let's take a deeper one. Gale, 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 la, ufros, chavivi alai, et sukkah.
Songs come from just one note.
There's just one note, and then one note after that. Every new song comes from just one note. So let's celebrate the new song on page 12 with Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash. Let's sing. Let's bring something new to this prayer this time. Find something new. Find a harmony. Find a new trill in your voice or a new presence in your mind and your heart, and bring it to this next prayer. Shiru Ladonai. I taught like 10 new songs, 2 new prayers before Shabbos. So we're really going to celebrate the new song. Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Basru Miyom Liyom, Yeshuato, Sapru V'Goyim, Kivoto, V'chol Ha'amim Niflotav, Ki Gadol Adonai U'Mulo Me'od, Norahu, Al Kol Elohim, Ki Kol Elohei Amim Elilim, Shamayim Masa, Odeh Hadar, Levanav, Oz V'Tiferet, Be'mikdasho, Havu Ladonai, Mishpechot Damim, Havu Ladonai, Kavod V'Oz, Havu Ladonai, Kevod Shemo, Seu Mencha, Uvod Chatzrotav, Havu Ladonai, Hadrato Hudesh, Chilu Mipanav, Kol Haaretz, Emru V'Gayim Adonai Malach, Avtikon Tevel Baal Timo, Yadim Amim Nefei Sharem, Yismechu Hashamayim Betagil Haaretz, Yiramaya Bo Melo, Yalo Sadai, Kol Hashem Oz, Yiranenu Kol HaTeya'ah, Lefnei Adonai Kiva, Kiva, Lishbot Haaretz, Yeshbo Tevel, Betzedek, Be'yamim, Be'emunato, ay, 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 arananai, ay, 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 arananai, oy, 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 arananai, ay, amanai, ay, arananai, ay, anai, ay, arananai, ay, anai, ay, arananai, ay, anai, ay, arananai, ay, anai, ay, more, let David, please rise. Mizmor David, Havul Adonai Bnei, page 20. Havul Adonai, Kavod Vaoz, ay, ay, ay. Havul Adonai, Kevod Shemo Eshnach, Havul Adonai, Hadrat Kodesh, Kol Adonai, Alamayim, El HaKavodim, Adonai, Almayim Rabim, Kol Adonai, Makol, ay, 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 Kol Adonai, Behadar, Kol Adonai, Shover Arazim, Vaishaber Adonai, Et Arzei Alvadot, Vayarkidei Kiplo Egel, Levanot, Desir Yod, Kemo Ben Rei, ay, 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 Kol Adonai, Rotzeh HaKodesh, Kol Adonai, Yachil Livad, Yachil Adonai, Levar Kadesh, Kol Adonai, Echol El Hayalot, Vayechesov, Yarot, Kulo Omer Alot, ay, 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 Adonai, Mabuya Shabbat, Shev Adonai, Melech Leolam, Adonai Oz Le'amo Yiten, Adonai Yivarech, Amo V'Shalom, ay, 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 You may be seated. On page 22. Please, with the strength of your loving hands, untie the binded knot. Let's take another deep breath and really have the intention of untying all the tangles. Cavalry מלכותו לעולם ועד. ברוך שם כבוד 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 מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Our ancestors tell us, the ancient rabbis tell us that Shabbat, entering Shabbat is like entering the Garden of Eden, entering Gan Eden. And in fact, there's a wonderful rabbinic legend about Isaac right after the Akedah, right after the binding, right, where he almost dies. And it says that God places him in the Garden of Eden to heal. So if you're willing with me to come on a little walk through the garden as we enter Shabbat, or as we've entered Shabbat physically, but as we spiritually and emotionally enter Shabbat, and if you're willing, close your eyes, and we will take a little walk. As you enter, you feel the knots of everything that's binding you just loosen just a little bit. And you find a path. You see trees towering over you, their lush fruits just hanging. But you're not ready to eat yet. You just continue walking slowly, a meditative walk. And as you walk, you count your burdens. You feel them slipping from your shoulders one by one. There's that issue at work with your colleague, and your fight with your sister or your brother or your sibling, or things at home with your family aren't going quite as you'd like them. You still hold all these things, but you begin to hold them with a lighter grip. And slowly, as you walk, they fall through your fingers one by one until you can walk like an angel, the lightest creature of them all. And you find a grove of sacred ancient trees, and you feel the interconnectedness of each tree to one another, their sense of wholeness. And they hold you in that moment, and you drop to the ground in whatever way you're comfortable being on the ground. And you look at the sky, and all of your life, you can see it, but it's in perspective. It all feels light, much lighter than before. And you inhabit this healing space until you feel like all the wounds that you've accumulated throughout your life have been soothed, that there's a balm on each of them. And then you just surrender. The garden is ours. The garden is yours. Welcome to the garden. Shabbat Shalom.
When the veil comes down, the underneath face has time to settle in as a way out of showing surprise. How does one read surprise? For good, for bad, the terms have been arranged. And it's time for the painstaking creases to smooth the appearance of feelings, for simmering to still the nerves to fire the heart, and the heart to beam with the kind of muffled joy that travels outward to every cell. And at last to the ruby red lips, cooled by the breath of anticipation. The will and the destiny are dancing the inhale, are shedding skin on the exhale, upside down in this chrysalis, foreshadowing a rumble in the dark, dark tent. Meanwhile, his face has come uncovered, alone in the field, by the symphony of notes from each blade of grass that has grown out of memory into a musical procession. Hallelujah for the Ram. Hallelujah for the blinding angel's tears. Hallelujah for the final touch and letting go of a buried inner grief, dissolving in the evening, so he can finally go out to greet the bride. Dodi, page 26. Lecha dodi lekrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi lekrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad hishmiyanu el hameyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shemo tiferet v'letehila. Lecha dodi lekrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi lekrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lekrat Shabbat lechu v'necha ki mekor aviracha merosh mikadem nesucha sof maseh b'machshava techila. Lecha dodi lekrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi lekrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Mikdash melech ir melucha kumitzei mitoch ha'afecha rav lach shevet be'mekabacha vehu yachamol alaychem la. Lecha dodi lekrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi lekrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Hitnari me'afar kumi lifshi bigdei tifartechami al yad beni shai beit halachmi korva el nafshi nafshi gehala lecha dodi lekrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi lekrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoriri kiva orech kumi uri shir daberi kivod Adonai alayich nigla lecha dodi lekrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi lekrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi lekrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi lekrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Yaira da da da. Please rise and we greet the bride, the arriving bride. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam besimcha uvetzahala toch emunei am segula boi chala Shabbat Malka. Shabbat nekabelo. This is the moment when we greet the mourners, those or coming in after a loss. And we turn to page 113. For those who are both mourning in heart and in body, we sing the brokenhearted healing prayer. At this moment, feel free to also put the names in the chat. And we hold all those who are struggling through difficult times, illnesses, depressions, all of those things.
Healer of the brokenhearted, guider of our wounds, counter of uncountable stars, you know who we are.
הרופא לשבורי לב ומכבש לעצבותיו, מונה מספר לכוכבים, לכולם שמות יקרא. Let's hold them, let's read them, let's hold them in our hearts and our minds. Together we wish them healing. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Mishaberach Otenu v'imotenu sarif karachalei avim yitzchak Yaakov. May a quick, full healing come, and let them merit in this day as soon as possible. And let us say, Amen. Good Shabbos. You may be seated. So as you might have noticed, Rabbi David is not here this Shabbos. I think he's in warmer climate at this moment, and we are really excited and happy to greet all of you here in this space, the Romemu Center. At first, I'd like to ask, is there anybody here for the first time in this room and would feel comfortable standing up, just saying your name and where you're from, and let's say hello and welcome. Welcome. Welcome in the flesh. It's really great to see you. Anybody else here for the first time? Wow, welcome. Thank you for coming. Shabbat Shalom.
Hi, I'm Ben. I live on the Upper West Side. Thanks for having me.
Woohoo! Upper West Side.
I'm Jess. Hi everyone. Nice to meet everyone. I also live on the West Side.
Welcome. Anybody else?
I'm Yuan. I live across the street.
We need people who are from far away. Anybody here from far away? So now, like, the problem is that you guys have outed yourself. You're all from like around the corner and across the street. Like, now we have to see you every week. So Rabbi Dan, I think we have announcements. Oh wait, actually, before we do that, let's say hello to the new folks who are online. Could we see? Yeah, I think we need some kind of interfacing. Okay.
Hey, feel welcome to say hi. Hi, everybody.
I think the names are in the chat.
land of Zoom. Yes, I know, but they're not there yet.
Oh, okay.
Healing, but now we want to say welcome. Maybe everyone who's on Zoom has been here before. Is that possible?
That's really possible. That's entirely possible. Welcome, all of you.
I have one question for the room. Is anyone here for the first time since the pandemic? Well, welcome, welcome. It's such a special feeling to be back together. Is that you, Mark? Shabbat shalom. First time since the pandemic. Jacob, wow, this is my JTS students. Fabulous.
You don't recognize them.
No, I don't recognize anybody with masks on. Shabbat shalom. Okay, and I just want to say Nigel Savage is here from Israel, so welcome, welcome. Great to have you. Okay.
I think we have announcements.
We do, okay.
We have so much going on here.
So much. So our courses are starting this week. So you have to register, choose a path that fits your needs, and meets you where you are on your journey. Okay?
Next slide. Daily meditation with Rabbi Ingber and friends at 2 p.m. There's morning minyan with
Wait.
Rabbi.
You skipped Hasidic Masters.
Oh, okay, these glasses are not so good. Hasidic Masters.
1 p.m. Tuesday through Friday, Rabbi David teaches, I think, a Hasidic master a week. Is that right? A month. And it's an amazing class I've sat in a couple of times. It's really quite amazing. Okay. And then we have morning minyan, as Chazan Basya said, and Beit Midrash, which I am teaching, will start at 8 p.m. this Tuesday night. Next slide. Sacred Conversations, register by November 4th. Can anyone here say what is a sacred conversation? What is this program?
Yeah.
Karen.
It's about reconnecting to Romemu, meeting your fellow community members, talking about your spiritual journey, talking about how you're doing, reconnecting.
Great. So an opportunity to reconnect at this complicated moment in time. Any other announcements? I think there are more.
I think there's one social action one coming up.
Okay, November 11th, which I know is a Thursday night, learn about the Romemu Social Action Committee and how you can get involved. Communications, an introduction to radical voices from Jewish spiritual, cultural, and political history on November 16th. Daylight savings coming up. So next week, actually, we start services at 6, not at
the
6:30.
12th to 13th. I think it's next in 2 weeks.
Oh, you're right, it's in 2 weeks. Is it daylight savings?
How are your glasses?
Okay.
It's in
But
2 weeks.
okay. And
Yes.
then open book, which I often teach Saturday morning, will start at 8:45 a.m.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, a little difficult. And Shabbat services will still begin at 10 a.m. And here we are. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Welcome,
shalom.
everybody.
Please rise. And just like, we're gonna jump right into the welcome, the Baruch Hu.
No, tomorrow's still at 9.
We are looking for the page. La 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 la. Yai da ya da da da. Yamma da da. Page 31. Ay ay ya da da da. Ay ya la la la. Ay ay ya da da da. Yamma la la la. Baruch Hu Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Yai ya da da da, ya la da la da, ya ya da da da, ya ma da ya la ya ya da da da, ya da da da, ya da da da, ya la. You may be seated. Brucha at Shechina, Eloheinu Ruach Haolam. Hashem Baro Mariva Arim Chachma Vatech Sharim Puna Mishana Itim. Day rolling tonight, night rolling today. Darkness away before light. Middle of the page. Uma Virayum, Uma Via Laila, Uma Vdila Ben Yom, Uvein Laila, Uma Virayum, Uma Via Laila, Uma Vdila Ben Yom, Uvein Laila, Ya Yatzevot, Yatzevot Shema, Ya Yatzevot, Yatzevot Shema, Ya Yatzevot, Yatzevot Shema, Ya Yatzevot, Yatzevot Shema, Eila Chaya, Vekaya Hemet, Tametim Lochalinu Leolam Lahen, Eila Chaya, Vekaya Hemet, Tametim Leolam Lahen, Brucha Atchechina, Hamariva, Aravim, Yai, Yamadadadai, Yanadadadai, Hi, Yadadadai, Yamadadadai, Yanadadai, Yanadadai, Yanadadai. Page 36, Havat Olam is our next prayer. And in this parsha we have the first time we have love at first sight. It's the first time anyone mentions love at all. So take this moment to really tap into any kind of love you had at first sight. For me, when I was 11, my father was dating this woman. No, it goes somewhere. And I was 11, she was 11. And they decided that we didn't need babysitters. We're going to just watch each other. And so we did. And 2 weeks later, they kept on dating and we kept having play dates. And I said, you're going to be the best friend I ever had for my entire life. And it is so. It is still so. So find that person, any kind of love. And that kind of awesome love, let's get that power back. Because that power is so strong to love at first sight. Whatever it is, it could be also a tree. It's something that just blows you over with its awesomeness. אהבת עולם בית ישראל, אהבת תורה מצוות חוקים משפטים אותנו לימד כן אדוני לחשוב בינו מקבלים כי הם חיינו וימינו ובהם נגד יום ולילה באהבתך Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך וקומך וקשרת לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבת על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך והיה אם שמוע תשמעו על מצוותי אשר אנוכי מצווך אתכם. Silently on page 41 and 42. ואספתי דגן חביב ועשיתי הסבת ונאמר לך תפספת ואשר פני ולכם ואהבתם אלוהים ואחריו שלכם שמתם על דברי אלוהיכם ועל משכם וחשתם עוז ונכם עובר ואתם משותף יחצים לסלוריכם חברים מאוד ממש משתו לסכם לסביב המורץ היום ציציס על כנפי בגדיהם ודורתם ונשאו על ציציס וצריך תרילס היה לכם לציציס וריתם אותם זכרתם את כל מצוותי אדוני הזמתם לא ססורי אחרי לבכם. Don't turn your eyes to those things that you desire. You will look at those things, those fringes, and remember all the ways of the breath of life and do the good deeds and the mist. Don't be misdirected by your heart or by your eyes when you're drawn after them. In this way you will remember and observe my ways in the holy breath of life, your God. I am the breath of life, your God, who carried you out of the land of Egypt that I might, God, I might, the breath of life, the God of being that manifests. Adonai Elohechem. Emet, 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 Page 48. As the season changes, what kind of liberation are you dreaming of? What kind of walking through waters is calling you? What kind of dance with timbrels awaits you on the other side of crossing over?
Mi chamocha,
Mi chamocha,
Ba'elim Adonai,
Ba'elim Adonai,
Mi chamocha.
מי כמוך
נדר בקודש,
נדר בקודש
נורא,
נורא
תהילו,
תהילו
עושה,
עושה לפני משה ומרים לעולם השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ברוך אתה אדוני הבורא סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל Yerushalayim. Please rise, Vishamru. Page 52. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם יתקדל ויתקדש שמי רבה וילמד יברח חירותי וימלך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחייך בית ישראל בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב ימרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך עולם יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי תקודשו לילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, damiran bi'alma, and let us say Amen. Silent Amidah is on page 56, or the words of your own heart, or just some personal time. Shalom, 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 shalom. Let there be peace. Let there be peace. Let there be peace. Let there be peace.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Is this working right?
Yes.
I'm feeling a little bit of a touch of the pre-pandemic Romemu, and it's really, it's just amazing to be here tonight. So a friend recently shared a short story with me that she had written. And when I read it, I realized that there were striking parallels to the story of Isaac, his trauma in last week's Parsha, his striking disappearance from the text, and the beginning of healing in this week's Parsha, Chayei Sarah. Now, before I get into this, I just want to say that I'm going to detail his trauma pretty specifically, so this is a trigger warning if anyone doesn't want to be here to listen to that. My friend's story is about a woman named Maya. She's a married mother of two working as a nurse in her husband's pediatric practice. It all looks really good from the outside. But then Maya, in her mid-50s, starts to look back at her childhood, a childhood in which she was severely abused. She begins to recognize the extent of what happened to her, and in the story, she begins to heal. One of the interesting things about the story is that for Maya, what was even worse than the abuse was her inability to tell her story. Every time she tried to name what was happening to her as a child, she was immediately shamed and blamed and made to feel crazy, that nothing was happening to her and that she was a horrible person. In her family, telling the truth was a crime far worse than the ways people destroyed one another. Here are a few lines from her story. She was not allowed to see what she saw or hear what she heard. She could not even know what she knew. For a long period of her childhood, she stopped speaking at all, because when she did speak, it inevitably led to an intensification of the abuse. Knowing that the truth would either mean that she would be killed or that somehow she was killing her father, she suppressed her truth in order to survive. And in so doing, she became unreal to her very self. She drove any sense of self underground. Another quote from the story. Without the sustenance of truth, her soul withered and died. And by the time she became old enough to leave home, she had died 1,000 silent deaths. No language, no utterance was permitted by which her soul could connect to another, could breathe fresh air. This takes us to the story of the Torah portions we are in, to Isaac's story. In last week's Parsha, Vayera, we read one of the most terrifying episodes in all of biblical literature, the Akedah, the binding of Isaac. God commands Abraham to offer his beloved son Isaac as a sacrifice. And so Abraham goes on a 3-day journey with his unsuspecting beloved child. When Isaac questions the inscrutable reality before him, the truth is withheld. He's walking together with his father, carrying the very wood upon which he would be stretched out for sacrifice, and innocently asks, Avi, Daddy, Hineni b'ni. Abraham says, here I am, my son, seemingly saying, I am completely here for you, my son. Isaac asks, behold the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? Vayomer, Hine ha'esh v'haitzim, v'ayeh haseh le'olah. Where is that lamb? They are going on a journey to make an offering, but there is no sign of an animal to be sacrificed. Abraham obfuscates. He says, Vayomer Avraham, Elohim yir'eh haseh le'olah b'ni. And Abraham said, God will personally show us the lamb for a burnt offering, my son. Is this a statement of faith? Or is Abraham straight out lying because he doesn't want to tell his son the truth? How could he tell him such a terrible truth? Whatever it is, the terrible truth is withheld from Isaac. He trustingly walks together with him, with his father, to the sacred site where he would seemingly be slaughtered. One can only imagine the shock, the disbelief, the horror Isaac feels when his father binds him for the sacrifice, when Abraham builds an altar with the wood Isaac carried. One can imagine Isaac's inside screaming, Daddy, where is the lamb? Abraham lifts up his son and puts him on the altar. Daddy, where's the lamb? Avi, ayeh haseh. Abraham binds him to the altar with a rope. Daddy, it can't be me. I can't be the lamb. My father would not do this to me. My God could not do this to me. Avi, Avi. Abraham picks up the knife to slaughter his son. Isaac looks at the son and stops seeing. The Midrash says he goes blind, stops being able to comprehend the world. Because this, his beloved father trying to kill him, that can't be real. There are Midrashim, rabbinic legends, that tell us that in that moment, Isaac actually did die. In Midrash Hagadol, Rabbi Yehuda says, since the knife came upon Isaac's neck, Isaac's soul burst out and departed. Parcha v'yatzah nafsho shel Yitzchak. And no wonder, the fact that your father is trying to kill you is a truth that is too much to live with, a murderous truth, a truth that cannot be understood, cannot be spoken aloud. What would it take to recover from this trauma? For both Maya and Isaac, the truth died 1,000 deaths, and what was left was soul murder. And indeed, as Maya disappeared from her life, Isaac entirely disappears from the text. From chapter 22 until the end of chapter 24, which is the longest chapter in all of Genesis, and one of the longest chapters in the whole Torah. Isaac is nowhere to be seen. When Abraham returns from the Akedah and goes back with his lads, it doesn't say that he returns with Isaac. It's just Abraham and the lads. And then Isaac's mother dies, and Isaac is nowhere to be seen. He doesn't come to grieve her. And then Abraham decides that Isaac needs a wife and sends his servant. And for chapters and chapters, we hear about this courtship, this negotiation. Isaac is nowhere to be seen. This is the only courtship, as far as I can think of, without the actual bridegroom in the Torah. But what I really wanted to tell you in this for our Torah is not only about the effects of trauma, but about healing, about Isaac's healing, and a little bit about Maya's healing too. Isaac finally reemerges at the end of chapter 24. And I think it's instructive. The context in which he emerges, I think, tells us a great deal about healing. He's coming from the fields. And it says that he went to lasuach basadeh, to meditate or maybe pray in the fields. And in fact, in Psalm 104, the same word is used in a prayerful context. He also appears when his bride-to-be, Rebecca, comes on the scene. Maybe when he saw her, he felt a bit of strength or hope in her strength. And I think most instructive, he comes from a place called Be'er Lachai Ro'i, from the well, the place of the well of the living one who sees me. That place is the place that Hagar named. That place is the place that Hagar went to when she was being abused by Sarah, who's then Sarai, right? And escaped Sarai and went into the wilderness and was promised a child, Yishmael, and promised also seed that she wouldn't be able to count, right? It was a promise that was very similar to Abraham's. And she would have a child who was named for her being heard, her suffering, her own need being heard. And then she names the place for being seen. So no wonder that Isaac wants to go to the place where one is seen and heard after a trauma. It makes so much sense that he comes from this healing place, a place that is only mentioned one more time as the place that Isaac settles in after Abraham's death. So it is clearly a significant place for Yitzchak. If we think for a moment about Isaac going out to the fields and praying and meditating, maybe that's where his insides, his inwardness started to develop. Because Maya, too, in that story, started going on hikes in the mountains that surrounded her home. And she started to pour out her heart, right? And she didn't exactly believe in God, but she found a way to tell her story. It was almost like it was a precursor to Reb Nachman of Bratslaw's, concept of prayer of hitbodedut, of praying your heart out, pouring your heart out to God when you're alone. Maya lives for many years not even thinking about the fact that she was abused. But then some yearning in her began to grow. She yearned for more of a sense of reality, more of a sense of life. And she didn't really know how to get it, but that yearning brought her to places, brought her to the mountains, brought her to her voice, brought her to telling her story to her friends and family. It strikes me that the stories of trauma are so much more dramatic than the story of healing or stories of healing. But healing, I think, is like that. Slow, uneventful, like a tree's slow growth underneath the ground, and it's reaching towards the heavens. Root by root and leaf by leaf, reaching at once higher and deeper every day, until its strength and power is undeniable, until the shade that it can offer to others is significant, nurturing, makes a difference. These are not happily ever after stories, not in the least. In fact, amazingly enough, they have nothing to do with happiness. They are stories of the possibility of healing, of re-entering the story after traumatic death. Stories about what is most important, being real, authentic, mattering, connecting, loving, telling one's story, bearing witness. May we all be blessed with being real, with knowing that we and life itself is really undeniably real, that we matter, with the ability to tell the truth, have the courage to bear witness to our own lives and to the beautiful and painful realities that we are living with in these times. Thank you. Shabbat shalom. Please rise.
V'hashevota elevavecha. Page 78. Ki Adonai Hu Elohim Hashevota Shevot Elevavecha Ki Havaya Ki You may be seated. If you're in mourning, if you're commemorating a yard site, please remain standing. If you feel comfortable sharing the name of the person that you are remembering.
I'm commemorating my late ex-wife, Mary Ann Weber Dubin.
Thank you.
My father's 17th year site, Speeder,
My mother, Marcia Pepperstein Sigmund, God rest peace.
My wife, Gloria, my wife, Lisa,
Thank you. Anybody in the back? Anybody? We missed? We also have, we also are going to read the names. Rabbi David Keene, Dwight Grant, Phyllis Alt, Sandra Spannon Jarvis, Fred Sanders, Maccabee Ben Moshe, Jude Vachon, Jennifer Badger Sultan, Avraham Sturman, May Carol Zalkin, Anatoly Kanchin, Jim O'Quinn, Henry Elker, Williams, Donna Arena, Sessler, Sandra Spannon, Edward Keating, Fried Kabak. First year, Beth Baldridge, Dvorstal, Lee Brock, Jean Foreman, Shore, Ellsworth Levine, Erwin Bardash, Mr. L.C. Pops Floyd, Lynn Blacker, Shirley Gatzik, Grace Tannen, Denmark, Rabbi Raphael Goldstein, Magid Yitzchak Bucksbaum, Brady Rifkin, Laura Nierenberg, Barry Kosky, Betty Levin, Seymour Borstein, Leslie Robert, Axelrod, Charlotte Figman, Stuart Saville, Lily Zimmett, Julia Eisberg, Shirley Marlowe, Gretchen Drury, Michael Fracana Jr., Nancy Trieger, Rabbi Dr. Henry Dicker, Robert Gerald Cohn, Angela Lamb, Margolis, Everett Duchin, Bache Ariel Bat Avraham, Kathy Maddie, Elizabeth Deegan, Bertha Sutton, Naomi Kramer Stepp, Miriam Stern Wolf, Hadassah Loeb, Roberta Lipperman, Elise Macares, Andy Neiman, Pauline Dixon, Joel Winograd, Albert Passner, Lisa Pesha Badchana, Henry Bowman Becker, Viviane Esses, Chaya Bat Olga Vilian, Oded Arad, Alan Dumaine, Benny Pete, Michael Leese, Cantor Richard Kaplan, William Emerson Hill, MD, Naomi Heller, MD, Beatrice Saul Dalit, Henry Lee, Annie Esty, Mary Sinanian, Eric Press, Sherry Giuliano, Stan Hildebrand, James Besser, Ingrid Hecker, Candace Simmons, Heidi Kingsbury, Aona Miller, Henry Lee, Ingrid Hecker, Nancy Levy, Stan Hildebrand, Moshe Yitzhak Ben Ita Rivka, Jerry Black, Jerry Donahue, Eric, Anna, Anthemedin, Dominguez, May, Carol Zolkin, Candace Simmons, Evelyn Deichman, Shana's mom, Nathan Kessman, Jacqueline Nussbaum, the yard site, and Grace Azar. Rabbi Lord, Jonathan Sachs, Michael F., Sir David Amis, Irving Applebaum, Arlene Applebaum, Tina Rousseau, Lucio Rousseau, Susan, Molly Javits, Max Javits, Kathy Perlmutter, Harry State. For those who are in mourning and those who stand with those who are mourning, if that is your custom, please turn to page 116. That's where the Mourner Kaddish is. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. V'yalma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael b'agala v'zman kari v'yimru Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam le'olmei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brichu le'elah mikol berchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran bi'alma v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru. Amen. May their memories be for a blessing, including those names that were shared in the chat. We remember them and hold them dear in our hearts. We are now going to pour our love into the cup of blessing that exists right there. We have some gratitudes at hand. It's so good to see you guys. I see you on Zoom, so it's really wonderful to see all of you. I'm just noticing that you are all wonderful and lovely, and Sending you a lot of love. So this cup of blessing, I'm also putting all of you for being here with us in this hybrid kind of way. We also have our incredible musicians, Luke Wigadny and Deep Singh, to our production partners, Full Stack New York, Cyrus Gonzalez. Romer staffing team, they are incredible, Ari Wharton, Anna Dardick, Natalia Arad, Justin Siegel, Junior Sanchez, and Freddie Diaz. We have such an amazing team. Thank you. Our staff and our prayer leaders are, that's me and my son. That's really nice. We need a little update one of these days. And this is our programming and moderation team. Mikali, who's moderating today? On Zoom? Our moderator? I think I heard Mikali. What? Well, thank you. Thank you so much for your moderation and for making everything so seamless. What do we have next? Celia, all of these amazing team, and the whole Romemu team. And thank you for coming down in the cold. It's colder today. I think is there any other slide at the end? We have an incredible team. Nope, that's it. We have Kiddush on. Who can tell me where Kiddush is? Thank you. 88. 88. All right. Any popcorn blessings? Throw out a few popcorn blessings. What do you got? What else do you put in here? Popcorn. No. Love to the world. A few more.
In New York.
New York. Winter. Coats and scarves. Yom HaShishi vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzivam vayechal Elohim bayom hashvi melachto asher asa vayishbot bayom hashvi mikol melachto asher asa vayivarech Elohim et yom hashivi vayikadesh oto kivo shavat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'asot savri chavarai l'chaim baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kadsho b'yava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim Kivanu b'charta v'otanu kidashta im kol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha b'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom, Umevo.